Take 3 of Two Chinese Boys, One Big Gulp by Chan Sik-gong. Are you sure about this? Yeah. Are you sure you're sure? Chris. What? Shit on me. Luhan looks up earnestly over at his lover, Chris, with an impatient glint in his big brown eyes. He's seated over Luhan, thighs on either side of his torso, ass up and hovering over his chest. But it's so dirty. But it's so dirty. It's called hot water and soap. Chris sighs weirdly. Chris sighs wearily, glancing back over Luhan. Fine, do you have the cup ready? Holding up the big gulp he found in the back seat of Chris's car earlier that day. Yes, no quit stalling. Luhan touches Chris's ass. And he knows it's time to holy shit. It's time to do as Luhan asks while he's asking nicely. Okay. Looking at the crucifix across the room, Chris feels an instant guilt, wondering if you can go to hell for shitting on your infested boyfriend. Probably. Most likely. Chris looks down at his hand. In it there are 3 laxatives. The kind that look like those yummy caramel candies that had the delicious cream in it, but they're not. They're just sticky and gross looking, like the drops of melted ice cream that you pull around your fingers as you rush to lick it up before your new shirt gets ruined. Chris. Yes, Luhan? Hurry it up. Yes, Luhan. Without any further hesitation, Chris pops one of the tan squares into his mouth, chewing it diligently until his hand is empty and resting on his stomach as it churns, whimpering under his breath at the tightness of his abdomen. Luhan notices and runs a hand along Chris's back lightly, making sure to speak with a certain softness. Chris is a bit on the fragile side for things like this. Is it coming? Chris nods, obviously clenching his cheeks. Together. It's gonna be bad, Luhan. Luhan's hand runs its course around Chris's skin, trying to coax him into relaxing. I'll clean everything. Just let it all go. And when he does, into the cup as well as onto Luhan's chest, after the cup is filled. Luhan tips his head back in ecstasy as the warm brown chunks as a small, moist pile pours and sinks into the faint tips of Luhan's chest. Chris shuts his eyes tightly, half mortified by his actions and half enthralled by the throaty moans escaping Luhan's lips. The cup is full, but I can't stop it. What now? Luhan, always prepared for the best of the worst, shushes him. Leave it all to me. And so he does. Luhan's hands knead into the small of Chris's back and help his lover relax, sneakily sliding a hand further down until the tip of his index finger is met with Chris's flourishing entrance, easing it in with the help of the natural lubricant leaking out. Oh. Chris breathes in sharply, looking back at Luhan with wide eyes. What are you doing, Lulu? You can't do that to me while I'm like this. I never said I would, but that's actually a nice thought for next time. Next time? Yes, now be quiet. I'm gonna need to use my mouth for a moment. Oh no! Luhan pulls his index finger out of Chris in one fluid motion, examining the substance on his finger before parting his lips and taking it into his mouth, sucking it clean with an obscene sucking noise, staying quiet as he ponders the odd flavor. Kind of salty. A bit spicy. Have you been eating Chipotle again? Chris only sits there with his face painted red as his boyfriend continues the process, holding out his hand as if Chris's ass is a lottery machine and he's spun a 777. As more and more of Chris's organic breathing comes out, Luhan has Chris on all fours, anus to lips so he won't miss a drop. His hands keeping on Chris's cheeks spread apart as he obtains his fill, licking the hole clean when it finally ceases spouting the lovely tonic. By now Chris is panting and gripping at the bed sheets after Luhan's thorough examination of his hindquarters. Are we done now? Luhan snorts as if the answer is obvious, and he shakes his head in disapproval. Oh, of course not. You're gonna need to eat it with me. A bright grin illuminates Luhan's facial features. The brown tint... No! The brown tint to them is offsetting in contrast to their no... He's got shit on his face. But not enough to get Chris to say no. Heart. How long should we microwave... Luhan looks over at Chris as he holds his holy grail. How the hell should I know, Mr. Shit on Me? One set of large eyes is glaring at Chris as he promptly steps up and looks at the ground. It's a bit thin from the laxative, so maybe a minute at the most. Luhan nods and sets the cup in the microwave, sitting it for 45 seconds before pressing start. I'm so excited, Luhan mutters to himself, snatching the cup up after the time has passed, motioning for Chris to come into the kitchen table with him. I'm not going first, Chris blurts, fidgeting with his hands as he watches Luhan stir the concoction with his finger. Shut up and try some. I heard on TV once that your feces is actually quite nutritious, I think. He holds his finger out to Chris, an innocent smile plastered onto his face. Just try a little bit. For me? Chris rolls his eyes and obliges, shutting his eyes as he did before while Luhan guides his finger past Chris's plump lips, getting a small moan from this simple action. When the finger is withdrawn, Chris opens his eyes to a smug-looking Luhan. You liked it, didn't you? Chris says nothing.